Hi everyone.
Hey y'all.
Hi guys.
Just
Oh, sorry, go on, Jamie.
just checking you can see the screen okay.
I can.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for taking the time to join the webinar today, where we're going to be discussing AI and bidding, some of the upcoming trends for 2026. I'm going to hand over to Jamie to intro himself and we can get started.
Cool. Yeah, well, first of all, thank you all very much for joining. I'm Jamie, the Chief Product Officer at MyTender, and yeah, super excited to share some insights into some of the trends that we believe we'll see over the coming year. I'll pass over to Chris.
Yeah, I'm Chris Carter, founder of Stargazy. Basically, I talk about proposals, winning RFPs all day. That's my thing.
Awesome. So in terms of like a quick agenda, we're going to start off with where AI currently is, a reality check into current adoption, current usage, and also some of the sort of limitations which we're seeing with AI today. And then we're going to go into the main core 8 trends that we see for 2026, and then finish up with a nice interactive Q&A. So yeah, hopefully it's not going to take the full 45 minutes. We'll try end before so you have some time back. But yeah, I think it's super good that everyone's joined. I think it's definitely going to give you guys good insight into what's coming up. Obviously, AI changes pretty much every week, every month. So having that foresight of where AI is going, especially within the sort of proposal tech space, is going to give you really good insight into how you can shape your bidding strategy this year and understand the changing roles that sort of AI will have an impact on. So starting off with where we currently are, I've got some statistics that are from McKinsey in the State of AI report at the end of last year. And basically 88% of organizations are now using AI in at least one of their functions. So pretty much most businesses have at least started looking at AI, playing around with it and testing it. In terms of individual consumers and like us, I think pretty much 60% are using it on a weekly basis. So I think pretty much everyone hopefully in this call is at least played around with ChatGPT and has found out how sort of useful it can be in the sort of day-to-day lives, as well as also just their bidding lives. And then sort of finally taking a step back for the sort of journey that we've had since AI became mainstream and widely adopted and released in around late 2023. Start of 2024 was obviously the hype part where AI is going to replace everyone's jobs. We're not going to need bid writers anymore. A lot of that sort of marketing waffle, which is obviously not true. In 2025, it was much more the sort of seeing and identifying what works with AI within the bidding process and testing it out, getting those sort of initial proofs of ROI. And then 2026 is going to be the year where we double down, build on essentially what is working, and also wider adoption. Because although these statistics seem like AI is potentially being quite widely used within businesses, it's actually 67% of businesses have not scaled AI through any of their processes at all. So although many businesses have tried it, they've played around with it a bit, it's still very early stages in terms of actually using it throughout the whole business and all of their processes. So in my opinion, that's for two main reasons. The first is that the actual application layer, the AI layer, which sits on top of the general purpose models, to be able to suit, complex business processes and also skills such as bid writing, which is very highly specialized. It's basically going to take a lot of time for the application layer to actually be specialized enough to to significantly help with that. So that's the first reason. And then the second reason is the whole change management piece. I think it was in the Gartner report that the main limiting factor for AI being widely adopted in businesses is the change management piece. Obviously, AI breaks up and interacts with, well, breaks up the business's processes, and actually just getting people to understand the capabilities of AI takes a lot of time for people to get used to. So I think, Chris, you had also a couple points on potential reasons why, AI is not massively scaled out through bid teams so far.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a really highly regulated industry, in order to purchase a new software, especially an AI software, just to get through your legal and your procurement regulations, it takes almost 12 months to do. And so it's just going to be slower in certain industries, and there's really not much you can do about that. But yeah, I think a lot of it, I think especially with the Gartner and Forrester data out there, it really is because a lot of people bought software and they're like, oh shoot, we don't actually know how to use this. And our people aren't enabled and trained. So I think that's really what it comes down to, like you were saying.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. So yeah, these trends me and Chris have come up with. Obviously, I get to speak to lots of bid teams. I run sort of like the training and onboarding process. So I really get an understanding of a lot of different bid teams' current processes, and I get sort of foresight of the sort of technical side as well. So that's where the majority of these trends have come from, a sort of intersection of that bidding knowledge and the sort of latest AI advancements. I thought I'd start off the first trend as potentially one of the most important ones, but the fact that procurement teams are also now starting to adopt AI as an evaluation method. So, what does that actually look like for the procurement teams? Well, it means that they're going to be using AI to actually assist and augment their scoring of your bids. And I think it will work essentially in a similar way to how bid teams are using AI. That it's for the getting off the ground, doing those initial first drafts. It's exactly the same with procurement teams. It's not going to be an AI will score a bid response and that's what's going to be the sort of end outcome. It will just be there to sort of assist their judgment. But it is still extremely important that at least from, I suppose, what that means for the bidding teams is that that alters at least how you continue your bid review process, because it's going to be the same language models that are kind of and general prompts which are assessing your initial drafts. So it's definitely important that sort of going out through this year, it's something which is considered for how AI is currently assessing your drafts, just so to make sure that any sort of you've not necessarily missed anything, or AI is interpreting it the same way a human would, I suppose. So Chris, is there any other things which you believe implications of bid teams to sort of think about with procurement teams using AI now?
Yeah, I feel like you went to this really well, but I can't emphasize enough how important this is. Like I was looking at an HBR article, a McKinsey one, and a Gartner one. And even though they're going from different data sets, they are all coming to the same conclusion. That was like by 2028, 90% of B2B buying will be done through an AI agent. So like $15 trillion just for B2B, right? It's going to be through procurement. And that means even if it's not happening now, it's going to happen, and it is happening. And so what I what I think is tough to know is exactly how we can be responding in our RFPs to get scored well. But I think that's going to come to what we're doing in our Q&As, like asking in our Q&As, like, hey, what are you using to evaluate this? Like they're asking us how we're responding if we're using AI. We should be doing the same thing back to them. And I think eventually that's going to help us decide like how we are responding and best practices in responses for like a high AI score so we can't get shortlisted.
100%. And I mean, even we've been approached by several like procurement bodies as well to sort of start, seeing if we could help build some of these evaluation systems. So, it's definitely something at the forefront of procurement teams' mind, and yeah, something definitely, as Chris said, to keep like a very close eye on. The next trend, I believe, is the importance of self-maintaining content libraries. I think we've all by now heard the phrase garbage in, garbage out. Um, and it's definitely something ever more important with AI responses, that it's coming from a very good data source that is pulling from. And part of the sort of AI wave, I suppose, is reshifting some of that time which you would be doing with the drafting, and then almost like reallocating that to, managing and looking after that content. So I believe that in some of the AI tech products, like some things we're looking at is things like AI meta tagging, uh, duplication detection, stale content alert, and also like live library editing, so that you can actually maintain the library from when you're actually writing the response. Um, and all of that is, these things are things which AI are very good for, and things that AI should definitely be able to help out with. But yeah, just the actual wider importance of having someone in your bid team reviewing your content on a regular basis, and actually responsible for maintaining that sort of golden standard quality to ensure that you're getting the most out of these AI systems and the technology. Chris, I don't know, is there anything else you would want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of this holds true. It's just, I think what we're seeing is how these libraries are maintained is just going to fundamentally be different, just because of how software that we've had access to in the past has been pretty locked down. Like, you use what was in your content library and nothing else. Obviously, if you're in a highly regulated industry, that is going to stay the same. But if you're not, your content is probably going to be connecting to something maybe outside the bid team's control or knowledge manager's control. Like, it might be in your technical documentation that somebody else controls, or in your marketing or your product information. And so I think I would suggest getting ahead of that right now, of what that looks like if you are integrating with those tools, to decide, who does manage those, who does look at those, to make sure that they are updated. Because yeah, garbage in, garbage out, or yeah, but I think what we're connecting to is going to be different. So you have to make sure those content libraries outside your control stay like gold standard. Hopefully that makes sense. I just think how the architecture looks now is different, and therefore our process needs to be a little bit different now. Yeah, that's my thing, Jamie.
Yeah, 100%. And just the importance that someone within the bid team is given that responsibility to maintain it, or else it can get sort of out of hand fairly quickly. But yeah, I definitely think that's a super important trend. The next one is I think that a term which we all have heard, and how we all interact with AI and language models, is that we've heard so far is prompt engineering, which is basically just like, when you basically are typing in the outcome that you want AI to do, and that will be essentially your prompt, which is, it's definitely like being a useful term up to now. But I think a more important mental framework to get the best responses out of AI possible would be more using the term of like context engineering, which is more actually, instead of thinking what I want the AI to do, it's more about thinking what information do I need to give the AI to be able to perform that task effectively. So to give a couple of examples, if I was to say, let's say prompt engineering, maybe please score this first draft against the criteria, and then it potentially will go and generate that response. But it hasn't necessarily been given the thought to go and actually find that what the sort of scoring criteria the buyer's released, and then you potentially look at also the wider tender information and use that. So context engineering would more be, please can you go and find the evaluation criteria, have a look at the tender to understand the general summary of it, and then now can you please score my bid response. And then that basically turns it from potentially just generating a random score out of 10 to actually doing it based upon the scoring criteria that you're being measured against. So it's more of a point for, I suppose, even in your daily lives when you're using AI, it's much more efficient and optimal to be thinking about what information and like tools do I need to give the AI to be able to complete this task, as opposed to sort of just typing in, please can you do this for me, because that doesn't necessarily help guide the sort of AI to how to perform that task. So I definitely think, especially as things get more agentic, AI gets more capable, sort of understanding where you need to look to find the information to perform the task effectively is an important skill set to develop as this year goes on. Cool. Next one is slightly more technical one, but it is quite impactful, I believe, to the quality of the writing, which we will probably be seeing over this year. So late last year, Anthropic released a new sort of innovation around skills, which essentially is AI designed to extend LLM's performance on specific tasks. So it's basically like an extended amount of instructions that you're giving to language models in a unique way, which sort of didn't necessarily exist before, which allows them to, perform a skill which is potentially a lot more high level. And potentially one of the limitations of AI up to date so far is that potentially for certain skills that you need when you're writing a bid process, maybe it's how you're writing a super, like the style or way that you're writing a super technical response, or let's say if it's how you write differently sub questions like 1.2.1 and 1.2.2. Right now, largely AI can be like generate very similar responses for those type of questions, but enabling skills essentially will give the AI knowledge of how to sort of jump from 1.2.1 to 1.2.2. So the general writing quality across a broader range of writing tasks, I believe will probably improve quite a lot this year, and more significantly, as opposed to just the sort of slightly more generic questions. Chris, is there any like specific use cases where you think this could be quite applicable?
I mean, I wish I could give you one or two. I think it could be useful in every single piece of the process. And so if you're looking to implement something like this, I would say, what do I struggle with doing the most? Like, what piece of the process do I maybe not like doing the most? And then giving that over to a skill set, like, or using agentic AI to set that up for you, whether that's scheduling something or moving one process to another, especially if your team is using self-service. But like, I genuinely think this is where bid people are really going to excel. And I know it looks technical, but it really isn't. Is because like if you don't know what good looks like, you're going to set up a bad skill and you're going to get a bad outcome. Whereas like if you as the expert are setting up this really good skill and you know what best practice looks like, you know what a good outcome looks like, you're going to be able to set this up incredibly, incredibly well. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is like you need a human to do this, to set this up for an AI to do a good job. But I would say instead of just I would just say choose one that you want to try out first and then move it on to other pieces of your process.
Yeah, and just I suppose to like simplify it, it is generally just an extended amount of instructions which you're giving the AI. So it's things you can do in your when you're just on your sort of personal LLMs and GPTs when you're using that. It's things which we're working on in the sort of background for our system to improve that writing quality across more examples. So yeah, I definitely think that's something which we'll see develop the writing quality throughout AI bidding quite a lot. Next is agents beyond just information retrieval. So for those in the who are here that are wondering what an agent actually is, I personally think it's like a way overinflated term that people market all the time without sort of actually having a true agent or a real definition of what that is. To me, an agent is basically some like AI that can plan, reason, go and sort of has like a range of tools that it can execute, and then it can perform a task and then sort of like evaluate on its outcome and then sort of iterate continuously through that so that it can complete complex tasks and workflows. So far, a lot of the agentic AI I've seen, at least in the bidding space, is predominantly for, research or information retrieval. So, either doing some sort of initial capture research on your customer or finding some content for your library as some examples, which is still very, very useful. But I believe in 2026, we're going to see this expand quite a lot further. So we're going to get agents as a couple of examples I see. Let's say, for example, you have a question where you need to email a subject matter expert to get their input on. Agents, I believe, will essentially be able to send that email automatically alongside all of the information that they're going to need to basically respond, and like fill in like a first draft, and then the sort of AI can come back and generate that first draft automatically, with all of that information the subject matter expert has given them. Another example would potentially be agentic AI that can search tender portals, find relevant contracts for you, and automatically add that into your CRM or bidding software, and sort of perform that bid no bid analysis or initial insights on the documents, right from the get-go. So I think that's something which is quite exciting, at least from like a technical standpoint, but definitely we'll see AI being a lot more versatile in the ways that it can help through these sort of like multi-agentic processes. So yeah, hopefully that's not like too technical or anything like that, but I definitely think that's something which we'll see a lot more of this year. Cool. This one, AI images and formatting. Now I'm gonna get some engagement from you guys. I want to see in the chat maybe with a thumbs up or a thumbs down to if you think that you could see AI images like the ones I've sort of pasted in here is something you could see being used in your proposals this year. Because I don't know about, Caitlin or Chris. I think these are kind of quite high quality. And, if I was writing a bid, then I would definitely consider maybe the construction one in the top right, or even this bar chart, I think is quite high quality. I don't know, like Chris, what do you think?
This is better than something I'd create, especially like the top right one. So yeah, I think what I'm seeing is kind of what you're saying though. I think these are really good. If image design is really important to you scoring well and winning, then maybe like this is like a first draft, like you said, to give like a designer to design. But at least like in the software space where I am, you're already gonna be winning compared to everybody else.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely think it's something better than I could whip up on Canva or something. Is Caitlin, is anyone putting any thumbs up, thumbs down, at all? That'd be interesting to see what everyone thinks, if it is something they would see using.
Yeah, we had quite a few thumbs up on the screen and quite a few more coming in now. Few views. Depends on the ability to customize it. I think that's quite a good point. You obviously
Yeah.
want to be able to tweak it and change it, make sure it's on brand for your company. Yeah, I think overall consensus is it's a good feature to have.
Very interesting. And this does come, to be fair, very only like a few months ago. I think it was Google released an image model, which is what all of these are generated with, which has been quite like a massive leap in terms of like image quality. So yeah, definitely something which I can see coming in, and not just images as well, also formatting. I know that potentially maybe more in the private sectors, but a lot of the templates which bid teams use are potentially a little bit outdated. It's also something I could see AI helping with formatting wise as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop you really quick. Someone in the chat said it would be great. I think it was Teresa. It would be great if you could translate text into an infographic. And with Notebook LM, you can, like with Google's Notebook LM, and it's free. Like you just copy and paste the text, give it an infographic, and then like with what Nick was saying, if you give it the information, like your brand details, like the same overview that you'd give to a designer, it will do that. Like, it's not always perfect, but it's pretty good. So yeah, it's really cool.
And even if it is just, I suppose, giving it to your designer, it at least helps us save them a ton of time and understanding at least the general sort of graphic you're thinking of implementing.
Did
Cool,
you mind
Chris.
putting the name in the chat, Chris, of the platform,
Yeah.
just so everyone can access it? Thanks.
Yeah, it's Notebook LM, if I can learn how to type. But it's a Google product. Yeah.
Nice. So for the next one, AI for bidding analytics, I'm going to leave this one for you, Chris, to see how you think, AI is going to help bid teams optimize their performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially in January, this is a time when most of, sales and bid teams come together to look at their data over the year. But I think with AI, this is something you can do, I mean, at a quarterly basis at the least, because it can be done basically on a daily basis if you really wanted to. But the data that you can really be looking at is, what questions tend to be asked a lot. Like maybe you're getting like a product or security question that you keep saying no to. Well, that's great information that you can pass on to your product leader or your security leader to say, hey, we keep saying no, we're getting scored down on that. Really good like future information for them. But then also, what answers do you keep scoring low on? What answers do you keep scoring high on? So that you can make those better, or whatever it is that you need to do. And then also, which ones do you tend to win on? Like, is there a specific like feature set that you keep getting asked about and you keep winning on those or keep losing on those? And once again, this is great information for you as a bid team, but if you can surface that information up to your sales, marketing, products, whoever it will affect leader, then that's going to be really useful information to actually improve their teams and their processes as well. You're also going to be able to see win rates, not just in general, but you can make it so you see win rates in certain regions, maybe on certain products or services. Maybe even certain like SMEs are helping you respond if one is like, kind of flailing behind and not really helping you. You could surface that there's actually data behind them not helping you and actually, making revenue for the company. Obviously, that sounds aggressive, but you can be creative. And then basically any data that you want to know, you could automate that with AI. That's just my thought. Like you can be as creative as you absolutely want to be, but just make sure that you're surfacing whatever that data is up to leadership so that they have information about that too. And you're going to be seen as really strategic and helpful to them.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think the granularity AI enables, like what content performing well, which win teams are consistently, improving the win rate, what content is potentially like detrimental, all of that stuff. You can get super granular, which I think AI enables. So I think that's something which is extremely exciting to improve the sort of, bid performance of bid teams. And then I think the last one that I've done a little bit more, I'm not, it's more of just a guess to be honest, but something which I love using in my day to day is voice AI. So I'm not sure who's tried speaking with ChatGPT or using voice to text softwares like Whisper here. That's the one that I use every day. But it's an extremely useful tool for productivity that I find, where you can sort of just type down on your keyboard and speak into it what you're thinking. And especially with like AI, with when you don't need to be, I suppose, speaking in perfect English for it to understand you. It's just, I mean, it saves me so much time on a day-to-day basis. So it's something which I think, from an efficiency standpoint, if you are looking to see I mean, the amount of words that you can create on yes, on like a hour basis, a minute basis, by doing it with voice, it just, means that that's massively improved. So yeah, that software there is whisper.flow, which is the one that I use and find extremely useful for doing. And I also use voice AI to, help. At the moment I'm trying to learn a bit of Spanish, so using voice AI, chatting back with ChatGPT is also another use case, which is not quite bid related, but unless you got any Spanish tenders. But yeah, another good example of how AI can be used in this day and age. Cool, and that is the main sort of 8 trends which I wanted to run through. So I hope that has been useful and insightful. We've got probably around, 5 or 8 minutes of questions. So yeah, if there's any, Caitlin, that you can see, make sure to type them in, and hopefully myself and Chris can help answer.
Yeah, there's a recent one in the chat about maybe more complex industries that kind of don't necessarily allow AI. Do you have any tips to overcome such challenge?
Chris, would you want to leave that?
What do you mean, like AI in responding to RFPs or AI in procurement?
Yeah, so in particular the aerospace industry, kind of AI used, I think in public bidding, it seems that seems to be the issue. If you had any kind of tips on how to kind of get around some, I guess, limits that are set.
Yeah, so it's so funny to see the difference because I help customers both in the US and the EU and the UK. And everyone has such a different way of doing, like the US, they're very pro AI, like every procurement is done via AI. Whereas your EU isn't. And so if they're not okay with it, then don't use it. And if they're not using a procurement, then obviously you need to write to a human. And it's that's just like the straightforward answer. But I'd really pay attention because if every other industry is starting to use AI, they'll probably end up on that too. But I don't know if you agree with that, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, the more regulated ones is bound to be a slower adoption curve. There is a couple things with more like local language models that are sort of closed, open source, and you can actually like run locally and on your computer. So it's not even going to the cloud and back, which is an even more secure version than hosting it on like a virtual private cloud, for example. And these like local LLMs or open source ones, they are improving quite a lot in terms of their capabilities. So I think for heavily regulated industries, that's also something which I believe will become more sort of important throughout this year, is potentially like the use of open source models, which are notoriously like slightly less quality and about, I don't know, a year behind the chat GPT, OpenAI's, Anthropic's, Google's, but they're catching up quite quickly. So that for the sort of more regulated industries is another sort of thing which we might see.
Right. Like if my big thing is that if you are a larger organization, and a lot of them, if you are larger, you are bidding into EU, especially the aerospace ones, you're bidding into the US, you're bidding into the UK. If the UK and the US require AI and they're using AI for their procurement to review, and the EU doesn't, like it's going to be an interesting one to see if there's a lot of pushback from these other countries to get the EU to do that, or if the EU will really dig in their heels. And I just don't know what that will look like.
Yeah.
But
Is there any more questions, Caitlin?
That's it at the moment. Unless anyone else has any questions they want to pop in the chat to get answered, or I don't know if you can unmute yourself, maybe just pop it in the chat.
Cool. If not, we give them a bit for any questions. But I mean, yeah, we will be sending like obviously recordings out to everyone of the webinar, as well as also some, like a blog on all of the points which me and Chris have discussed today. So hopefully don't have to feel like you remembered it all. Is that all from the question side, Caitlin?
Yeah, that seems to be everything for now. So yeah, feel free to round up. Oh, one's just coming in. Is there likely a gap to be created between AI bidders and non-AI bidders? It's quite a good question.
Well, I mean, I can sort of start off. I believe the more, like, the earlier that you get to start using AI, the quicker you're going to get used to the sort of technology and understand the use cases that it can do for you. And that's basically just going to make you even more enabled and more efficient, and sort of improve, well, it might, from my opinion, improve how well you write your responses and how quick you can get there, through some of the use cases which we've gone through today. So I think it's mainly just the fact that adopting AI early allows your business to sort of learn as from like a user perspective, how to use AI, as well as give the sort of AI a bit of time to help train on your information and get better over time as well with your business. So that's where I see, I suppose, the advantages in starting, as soon as possible if you haven't done already. Yeah, that would be my answer.
I'm just gonna agree with Jamie point blank here. Like we don't necessarily see win rates go up, but we do see a lot of other compounding benefits totally circling that. And I think once we have even more data, like using AI to look at the data of your win rates, and then maybe filling in some of the gaps within your company based on like what you keep saying no to, but you're saying, keep coming in from questions from RFPs or in frameworks. I mean, that puts you a couple of years ahead because you have that data, because you have the information that you would never normally be able to look at without AI. So that's my thing. But other than that, I agree with Jamie.
Nice. Cool. Well, yeah, I mean, thank you everyone for, taking the time out of your day. As I mentioned, I'll be sending like a sort of all of the information and recording, etc. to everyone. If you are interested in speaking more about any of the things which we're working on at my tender, feel free to book in a demo. And Chris, for the Stargazy, is there anything you would recommend for joining that community? And
Yeah, just I mean the link is on the Stargazer LinkedIn page, or you can just contact me, and it's just full of a bunch of bid and proposal professionals throughout the world, just sharing knowledge.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining. It's been like a lot of fun, and yeah, I hope you guys have got some value from it.
Good to see you all.
Thank you. Thank you.